Hello, and welcome to the Jen and Margie Show. I'm Margie Wiggin.
And I'm Jen Belisi.
We will be here with you weekly on Wednesday nights from 7 to 8 p.m. to have a community conversation about local, national, and international events and issues. We are live, so we want you to call us at 508-435-7880 or email live@hcam.tv to join the conversation. You don't have to share your name, but we would love it if you would share your thoughts with us and our viewers. Tonight, we're going to talk about local issues, and we have a guest.
A fabulous guest. We have Chief Ed Lee, who's been with the Hopkinton PD for a couple years now, going on 3 years.
Four.
Yep. And so he'll be joining us after our first segment, and we'll talk about lots of interesting things in Hopkinton. Yep. So how was your week, Margie?
Week was good, busy, crazy weather.
Weather.
Yep.
School's over.
School's over. I'm into my summer job now. I work at a day camp.
Nice. Where's that?
It's in Weston, and I have a teepee for an office. So I had to put up the teepee, which involves 18 very long poles and some rope around the top, and
literally a teepee.
Story. Literally a teepee canvas.
Okay,
yeah.
Got it now.
Lakota Sioux teepee.
Okay.
Apparently a squaw can do it in no time.
Okay.
It took me 3 hours with some help. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway,
But
that's
your
what I
office
do in
is
the
set up.
summer. It's great.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's
it's right
fun.
next to a pond. How about you?
Excellent. So I was away on vacation, and I went to my old stomping grounds. I went to Montauk, Long Island. So for people who grew up in Long Island, Montauk and the Hamptons are like our Cape Cod.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. And actually, my best friend and goddaughter were supposed to come up. They wound up not coming up. So I went down to New York.
City?
And to Long Island.
Okay.
Visited my 100-and-a-half-year-old grandmother.
God bless her.
Yep, shout out to Pearl. And then went to Montauk, and you know it's so amazing when you live on an island and you grow up 15 minutes from the water.
Amazing.
It's like homecoming.
Yeah.
When you get back there. And I summered at Montauk for 20 years, and always at the same hotel. It always seemed like, in my mind, we always had the same hotel rooms. But as a child, and when I look back at pictures, I can look at the landscape of the beach and see how far the ocean was from the hotels. Well, now they have literally had to rebuild and tier and basically prevent.
Do they have railroad ties? Or
They
do
have railroad ties. They have
planting.
They do beach grasses and railroad ties and beach grasses and ties and other kinds of things, and even the oh gosh, I forget the part of the government that goes in. I think it was the Army Corps of Engineers. They go in and then they fill all of these. Years ago they did it. They fill all of these canvas bags, and they buried them, and that was supposed to sustain some of the or prevent some of the erosion.
I read something about a school who planted Christmas trees because the Christmas trees caught the sand.
Oh, that's
so that it
interesting.
didn't wear away. And I'm wondering if anyone has been to Montauk or has been to a place with beach erosion, feel free to call. You can call in any subject we talk about. We'd love to have you
Absolutely.
Converse with us.
Yeah, so it's so far gone, the beach, though. I wonder if that would even help at this point. So they say that the Army Corps of Engineers comes in, does this huge project. The next weekend, this is a couple of years ago, a nor'easter comes. All the bags are then exposed. Completely, the project did not work. So to go now to this, to be in a hotel on the beach, you are so close to the ocean's edge. It's really amazing. And I went to the lighthouse there, and we are so surrounded by lighthouses in this neck of the woods. And to see the erosion on Montauk Point is also amazing.
Wow.
And I climbed all the way to the top and took a beautiful vista view of everything. But really, you know, I wonder if living on the East Coast, I think, or any coast, right? We're always aware and very cognizant of erosion and how long is this going to last, and you know, are we in a flood zone? Are we not in a flood zone?
I have a friend who summered on Plum Island in the North Shore.
Okay, not to be confused with Plum Island off the coast of Long Island, which is actually where the government had a animal control site for animal testing.
Really?
Yeah, it's actually closed
Never
down
heard of
now.
that. We'll have to talk about that sometime. Now, this is Plum Island, which is up past Gloucester. Newburyport, right up there. And I know that when the storms hit, his family was not right on the shore, but I know neighbors had to have their house on pilings.
Yeah.
So the water could wash out and wash back out. And I know that some of the houses were in danger because they were too close to the water, and there has been the beach erosion. So that's an issue probably all along the coast, I would think.
Absolutely, and I know FEMA redid their flood plan maps.
Yeah.
So, and I recently, 2 years ago, bought a little cottage in West Dennis and had to make sure that the new FEMA floodplain maps, my house was not in the flood zone.
Yeah.
You have to buy special insurance, of course, and so that was an interesting thing. But really, when you read about experts, they're saying, you know, it's 75 years away from the tip of the Cape, or 75 years away from the edge of Long Island, or
Crazy.
It is absolutely mind-boggling to think in just our short lives to see that kind of
Change
erosion
in the
along
landscape.
the way. Exactly.
And I also worry, my ex-husband lives in California, so I worry about that whole, you know, the erosion on that coast and also the earthquakes. So is it going to erode just because of the waves, or is it going to, part of it going to fall off into the sea because it's on that fault line? It's so interesting how the planet changes.
It is, and I was just reading today, there's another huge ice shift in Antarctica that's happening.
Unbelievable.
So yeah, it's a pretty amazing to watch and see it. You know, as an adult, I think you don't really, you're not thinking about all the fun in the sand. You're thinking about, wow, this is kind of crazy to watch all this happen in front of our eyes. So, what is happening in Hopkinton this week? The Horribles Parade.
Horribles Parade is happening, which is a long-standing tradition. I know that the McIntyre family started that in the 50s, 1950s, 1960s. By the time I got here, 98, there was now the tradition of the floats, throwing candy at all the kids. My kids love this. And if they didn't throw the candy, apparently the people on the side were entitled to throw water balloons at the floats or squirt water guns. So I know there was a lot of scurrying to collect candy when the parade went by.
So where does it go? Down Main Street?
I feel like it starts around the fire station, so it comes up and it goes to Town Common, it takes a turn, and then it goes back down.
Okay.
So it kind of makes a little circle up. I think it's up Hayden Row and back down Grove.
Okay.
You know, please correct me if I'm wrong, callers and watchers and people in this sound booth who know things.
And the original parade was to honor town events,
Town Pride.
Yep.
So normally they have. I know there's a Board of Selectmen float. There is a Veterans float. So Town Pride meaning, you know, let's highlight some of the really awesome people in our town and groups in our town. You know, there are different floats over the years. So, and I know Tommy McIntyre, may he rest in peace, did a great job organizing that and had that wonderful spirit and that huge smile, and was a great, you know, sort of grand marshal for that. So if anyone watching has been a part of the Horribles Parade, or if you want to call in and talk about your memories, or you want to say that you're working on a float right now and you're so excited because it's awesome, please call us, 508-435-7880. We would love to share conversation and hear your thoughts about the Horribles Parade coming up on July 4th. Check your local news outlets. Hop News might have it for the times of that. I'm not sure. Is it
I'm
noon,
not sure either. No,
10 or
no
noon
idea.
to 6? Maybe Chief Lee will know. I bet he's got to have some police officers out there to watch that.
I would bet that's a detail.
Yeah, I would think so.
Bet. So do you want to take a short break now, and then we'll come back with Chief Lee and have a conversation with him. So we'll see you after the break.
Welcome to Hopkinton Coffee Break. A very special dessert done by a woman from Hopkinton that I've started using regularly.
We had your residents participating both as vendors and as shoppers, and that was so much fun.
Real Hopkinton Housewives, if you're on Facebook, you will have a blast. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers, guys.
It's been a great.
Thank you.
Yeah, good to see you
See
too.
you guys.
Bye.
Have you ever considered texting and driving? If so, you should know the consequences. If caught texting and driving for the first time, you could get an $100 fine plus your license taken away for 60 days. The consequences only get worse the more you get caught. Even if you don't get caught, there could be serious effects. You could get into a car accident and hurt yourself or someone else. Texting and driving is a very dangerous combination, so stop before this happens to you.
This week on HCAM Television.
They say we're young and we don't know. We won't find out until we grow.
Hi. So we're back. We're here with the fabulous Chief Lee. Is your first name Ed?
Edward.
Chief Edward Lee. We won't ask your middle name. That's personal. But we're here with Chief Lee. We're so happy you came to join us. And we're going to have a nice conversation. If you have any family members that want to call and if they want to call and ask questions, please feel free to call. Or if anyone watching at home has other questions than what we ask, please feel free to join the conversation.
So I want to start by thanking you. I know you're a busy
Yeah.
man.
No, it's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And I want to start by saying, I always want to know the why. Why Hopkinton? Why here? Why, what point in your career did you say, I want to get it a different twist on things? Like what makes you, from the daughter of a cop asking a cop? So please enlighten me.
Yeah.
Well, that's how it all started. My father was a police officer in the town of Blackstone. He was actually the youngest police chief at 24.
Wow.
24?
That is chief.
Yes.
So my father was a sergeant for 30 years, and lieutenant eluded him numerous times. I cannot believe that a chief at 24 is even possible.
I think he was going to pass the test.
Okay, that could be.
Or applied. The only one who applied.
Oh, good for him, nevertheless. Good for him.
Congratulations. What is his name?
Edward Sr.
Thank you for your service, Edward Sr.
So I did 26 years. I was inspired by my dad to join the police force. I joined the city of Woonsocket back in 1988 and had 26 wonderful years.
Wow.
Went up through the ranks, sergeant, lieutenant, captain, detective captain, and then acting deputy chief until I came over to Hopkinton.
So were you looking to leave Woonsocket, or did somebody approach you, or did somebody, give you a little nod or a little nudge to say you're looking for something different? Did your wife say, "I'm done with Woonsocket, you got to find something a little less crazy"? I mean, what?
Yeah, she felt much safer in Hopkinton, but it's still a busy town. I always inspired. I always knew, especially when I became a sergeant, I loved the leadership aspect of the job, and I knew my ultimate goal was to become a chief of police, whether that was in Woonsocket or a fine community like Hopkinton. I went to the FBI National Academy. I got my master's degree and prepared myself for this day. Saw the ad for Hopkinton, and I knew it was a great fit. A lot of challenges in this community, especially with the marathon and planning. I mean, I meet with more federal officials and state officials and different departments than I did in Woonsocket when I was even working on major cases down there.
And so more about advancement than leaving Woonsocket necessarily. You just wanted the next step in your career.
Absolutely.
And you looked around and
the chief over there wasn't going anywhere at the time.
Right, I understand. Yeah, that happens.
Is that chief still there? Because you've been here since 2014, so is that chief still here?
He actually retired last year.
Did he?
Yeah.
So you were this?
I'm not leaving Hopkins.
No,
Okay,
that's
good to know.
Thank you.
So 26 years though, and then you come to Hopkinton. So that in and of itself, 26 years is a long time in the police force.
Yes.
Do you guys have I don't know how they calculate it in Massachusetts and New York, it's either a time period or your age. How do they do that here? Can you work 40 years on the police force here? How does that work here?
Can you work as long as you want?
No, you pretty much obligated by the state to retire at age 65. We just had to say goodbye to one of our officers that was forced into retirement. Officer Thomas Griffin. He was
I remember.
Just a great guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
I'm sure he had a few more good years in him too.
Yeah, he did. At least
And he's up there working details now.
I was going to
He's doing
say,
a
I
great
just
job.
saw him working a detail not long ago,
Yeah.
so I know he's out and about. And the
Yep.
same, I see Pat O'Brien
Pat's out there,
working details. Yeah, I see him out and about as well. I wave to everybody.
Yeah, I do
I
too.
always wave because I feel like,
Yeah, and we're not sure who the new guys are in the cars, but we're still waving.
I actually, you know what?
wave.
I think they're young enough to be our children. These guys that are out
Oh,
there,
yeah.
for sure.
I don't
But
know,
I
I'm
printed
in my
out
30s.
today. You're in your 30s. I'm not in my
Kidding,
30s,
kidding.
but I did print out on your website some of these new guys, and I don't even know if it's
Hunts.
Hanseas, how do you even pronounce that? And I think
Hansius.
Hanseas.
Yep.
And who else is
They're
new?
all
We call him Peter.
Peter. Well, when I see him,
First
I'm going to
name.
say Peter. Cruz Vergara, he's a new guy too, right?
Alex, yeah.
Alex. And who else is new?
I would know them by sight. I don't know their names necessarily.
We have Arthur Schofield, Brendan Liver, Brian Sanchione. He's a
So
kid who
Brian's
grew up
the-
in Milford.
Yes.
Yeah, they're all great officers doing an unbelievable job.
That's it. So how do you? What's your retention like for these guys? They're going to be here for a long time, right? I mean, you guys
I
hold
hope so.
on.
We try to, it can get stagnant in a smaller town sometimes, but we certainly, myself and my lieutenants and the rest of the command staff have been working on things to get these people and these officers motivated, so they will stick around with us and not leave for a bigger department or more money or something like that. So we certainly make it worth their while. We have two of the officers you just mentioned, Alex and Pete. They're going to be our taser instructors. We just recently purchased our tasers. Officer Sanchione is already interested in the SWAT team. That's a SEMLEC team, which is a regional team in Massachusetts. So, yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Do you get to interview them and ask them, look them in the eye, and figure out what their personality is like?
Absolutely. I will sit on they usually go through HR and with a police officer and a sergeant. Linda Higgins is always part of the hiring committee, and she does a great job. She's got a good eye for it.
Right. That's what I think. I think you got to get the intuition going.
Yep.
Just that little the subliminal or subtle piece of it, because the things look good on paper, but until you're there with that other person, you don't really know who this person is, and you want them to be able to stay for a while and be a good part of the community. Because I have to say, when I think of Hopkinton Police, it's David Shane, Tom, obviously Pat O'Brien, but Tim Brennan, Phil Powers.
I think Buckley. I think
all
those
those
are my
great
old school
guys.
guys. I've been here only 18 years, but I think these old
I
school
know.
guys for us.
And Chief Flannery, who's I wave to him every day when he drops his kids off at school. So these are just wonderful, wonderful people. And
a lot of people talk about the millennials and the different. They certainly are different. One thing I've noticed, not that the older guys don't, but the younger people, you talk to them in interviews and they're talking about not going out there catching the bad guys and stuff like that. They're talking about helping people and having empathy for people, which is huge. One of the things that we they have formal ways of looking at officers' emotional intelligence, which I think is very important in police work. But that's something I certainly look for when I'm interviewing someone, how they're going to react with the public, and how, because basically that's the whole job, interacting with the community, to problem solve.
right, exactly, not be rules, but
Not
have a
all the time,
little give and take and work a situation.
I think, as we all know, that you guys get a better rap, especially nationally now.
Not you guys, other police. Is what
Police
she's
in
saying.
general, I will generalize that statement. I think police generally in this day and age have a bad rap because of the sensationalized things that occur, that do occur, but do get a lot of exposure,
Media attention,
unfortunately. And I think that we can kind of put our blinders on in this beautiful small town that once a year gets inundated by an enormous amount of different agencies and all of this. And but for the most part, we're kind of we're nice in the background. I mean, how do you deal? Are there people in the community like this that are vehemently just opposed to police or just don't like you guys? Are there really people like that are around? That's still
absolutely, and I've certainly seen it in my career, not so much here in Hopkinton, but there are people that just don't appreciate what the police do, don't really understand what the police do, and a lot of that falls back on other departments. The biggest thing is trying to educate people and always keeping them abreast of what's going on and why we do things. But you'll always have people that are just totally gonna be against the police. And I'd seen that quite often, and it's just odd because the people that needed us the most are the ones that resented us the most.
Right. Right.
That is
And I always
ironic.
think of, I actually can't remember, but I love when police cars say serve and protect.
Yes.
Because that's what I think of, and that's what I tell my kids. You know, police are not here to give people a hard time. They're here to serve and protect. So if there was one time in Hooksett, New Hampshire, my daughter's in the back.
She'll never forget it either.
I know.
It's like it was
Daughter's in
yesterday.
the back of the thing, and she's showing me something and whatever. So and the traffic was moving at a certain rate of speed. I was moving with the traffic. Hooksett, New Hampshire police didn't like that I was, whatever the speed was, pulled me over, and my daughter in the back was probably 7. Mom, what? And I said, they're keeping us safe. They're making sure that everyone's driving the speed they're supposed to drive, and I appreciate that. So every time, you know, or not every time, but when something like that happens, I try to give my kids that message that I appreciate that something else could have happened, didn't happen, because a police officer was paying attention.
It's still nerve-wracking, though.
It is still nerve-wracking.
Well, no, it was like, what? You know, because I looked at the speedometer and said, oh, okay, that's why.
I have to tell you, I was flying down. So my kids were little. I was flying down. I mean, I think everybody gets pulled over at one time or another, right? I was flying down Wood Street, down 135, headed toward, so where Elm Street and Wood Street are, and you come down, you could be going a little fast. I was
Right.
certainly going a little fast,
The
and
hill, it's
Officer
the hill.
Buckley pulls me over. So my kids had to be 3, 5, and 7.
Yeah.
And this show is not going to be about the Jen and Margie who got tickets where show, but certainly he pulled me over, and he came over to the car, and all the kids are like, Mom, Mom. And I said, he came over and I said, can you just smile while you're talking to me? Just don't scare them. If you're going to give me a
You
ticket,
don't have
that's
a problem
okay.
with Officer Buckley doing that. that's for
I
sure.
know, I was speeding. Can you just, he's like, okay, no problem.
that's
Hi,
sweet.
kids. And he
That's so
leaned in, and
sweet.
it was, you know, I didn't want them,
Right.
they knew Grandpa was a cop. They knew their cousins. They knew Uncle Robbie's a cop. They knew everybody was cops, but I didn't want them to think that those were their only cop interactions.
Right.
They needed to understand that they were there and they are okay. They are, you know, they're not mean old grandpa.
And the
They're-
cop is a good guy.
That's right.
Right.
You know, so that
Absolutely.
some people say that we have a lot of cops. Do you think we have too many cops in Hopkinton? Would you ever say it? Do you think we need more?
Oh, eventually, we're gonna grow with the growth of the community. We'll have to have more. We handled, I think we're up to close to 1,800 incidents this year.
Oh,
That's what I was
Yeah.
going to say.
And what do incidents comprise of? Everything from traffic stops
Yeah,
to
any call.
domestic, anything at all.
Domestics, car
Bears.
accidents, bears.
Bears. Okay, bears.
Horses that
We
get
got
out.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my thought, was the increase in staff is because you have an
That's fine.
increase in
It's
population.
about 18,000 a year.
So is there a proportion of police officers to population, any kind of thing like that, or you just have a gut feeling of?
No, there's an actual formula, the
Yeah, I
FBI
figured.
standards,
Yeah.
the crime
Oh,
rate.
yeah, okay.
The only thing that brings us down is for asking more officers is we're the 4th safest community in Massachusetts, and, which is a good
Thank
thing.
you,
But
thank
we want to keep it that way.
Right.
Right.
So you have to
Exactly.
be prepared because you don't want to get bogged down going call to call,
Right.
and not being able to do those special things.
Right.
Such as like, I have plans of adding another school resource officer, things of that nature, detectives to really help people out with scams and things of that nature, and a lot of it's prevention.
Right.
I mean,
So I did go on the website today just to look at where you guys are up to, and it is a lot of prevention. Have you received an IRS call? Are you going to be away? Can we do a drive-by? Let us know. Those kind of things. And I often think that people are think that police are reactive, right? But they don't see all of the work that goes behind 95% of the time that is protection.
Right,
So
absolutely.
I think that.
I don't. The website is great, but I think what we're really doing now is really stepping up our focus on social media, especially with
Good.
all these millennials.
I know.
I had 4 new guys that are working on out there
A tweet.
giving people in any of our offices if they want to contribute, as long as it's tasteful and
Yeah,
educational and stuff
Okay.
like that. We
Good.
do have policies on that.
Yeah.
And we're on Facebook, Twitter, and now we're up on Instagram, which has been pretty popular with the
That's
younger
interesting.
kids.
It's wonderful. And I think you have to stay current with the times to be relevant and also to have your finger on the pulse or whatever. to
You
know
got to
what's
connect
happening.
with these people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is I would never think that, but certainly these millennials my kids are thinking that, so that's great. That's wonderful. Let's talk about tasers.
Yeah,
since
that's
we
what I
talked
was
about
gonna
that.
say. Yep.
So I was
Bring
reading.
one, don't worry.
That's. I was actually going to ask.
We do
if
get
we
a
could-
little excitable, so.
and then I thought I would, if we could have somebody being tased, but that would, I'm sure, go
No.
awry. So how many tasers do we have?
Right now we have 23,
One for each officer.
one for each officer.
Okay.
And does it
Well,
get carried on the
actually,
belt?
down to the 22 because we are hiring 2 more officers, but I didn't get one for myself or
Okay.
Lieutenant Bennett. He
Because
really wanted
you
one.
have other skills. You don't need.
Yeah,
to
that's right.
So,
Try to save some money.
How much is a taser? Hold on.
Oh.
That is pretty important. How much is a taser?
They go for about 1,300.
Oh, that's not
piece.
bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bargain.
But the biggest thing is getting the funding for training
Yeah.
and the extra tools that go along with it,
So-
extra cartridges and things of that nature.
So once you use a cartridge, is it one and done? That's it?
Oh.
Like one cartridge,
Yes,
one
and then
tase?
you have to move onto another cartridge.
You have to reload.
But they also have the ability not to shoot the cartridge and just put it against someone, what they call a drive stun, and you're not using the cartridge there.
Okay.
But it's still just as effective.
Okay.
so a taser is a stun gun.
But you
which
can
is-
use it from a distance.
Yes.
You can use it. So what's
Absolutely.
the
And I've-
furthest distance you can?
I think it's approximately 10 feet.
Are you
Furthest.
kidding me?
Yeah.
10 feet away you can get tased? That should be some kind of deterrent for anybody watching. that they don't have to be next to you. It's 10 feet away that you can get tased.
I've been in many situations before tasers. In Woonsocket, we got them later in my career, but I've been in situations where there's been armed subjects, where you had to use alternate means. I've seen an officer take someone's life because of a deadly
Threat
weapon,
of
where they could have
deadly
tased them
force.
if we had that ability.
Oh, yeah,
And it was an awful situation, both for the family of the victim and the suspect, but also the officer.
Sure, it's an awful
It was
thing.
an awful thing
No
to
one
do.
wants to take a life.
And
No
he
officer.
certainly had to go through a lot to get back to normal after taking someone's life.
So another tool in your tool belt.
That's correct.
As far as keeping everybody safe. Wow.
So what I looked up a little bit about tasers, and what I found is that it has an electrical current, impulse, wave, or beam to temporarily incapacitate,
Yes.
or worse.
But not cardiac.
High voltage
No.
Theoretically.
stun
Cardiac.
device
No.
can cause cardiac arrhythmia in healthy and susceptible subjects, leading to heart attack or death in minutes by ventricular fibrillation, which leads to cardiac arrest. But if you're in a situation where this person might kill the officer,
Yes.
then the officer has to do something to
Exactly.
stop the situation.
We have a policy that goes through the state, EOPS, and there's certain scenarios where you couldn't use it and can. If you were aware
Oh.
prior that someone had some type of heart condition, you'd certainly try to avoid, but
Right.
you
And
don't
How do you
always
know?
that
Yeah,
situation.
You're not
can't-
really
you
having
don't
that
know.
conversation
No.
in the middle of even thinking about using a taser.
Most of the occurrences where someone had a heart incident has been when someone has been what they call in a state called excited delirium, where they were totally intoxicated to a high
On like cocaine
point of
or
cocaine
something.
and things
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that, and
So
they're
accelerated
excited.
heartbeat. Yeah.
And we did have an incident like that in my previous department, but
So does it, the paddles where they go clear and then,
The defibrillator.
is that a
pedal?
similar kind of jolt of electricity, or is it? I really don't know what a taser.
I think it's totally different from
Okay,
what a taser does.
Okay.
A taser incapacitates you for the most you'll be zapped for is a period of 5 seconds.
Oh,
And as soon as they stop, it's over.
Okay.
But the fear of getting it again keeps people
sure.
from.
And is it
Sorry,
It's enough time to have you do what you need to do.
Exactly.
Yeah,
To rush in and-
disarm.
yeah.
Have you?
It certainly
Do
reduces
they-
the amount of assaults on police officers,
Right.
suspects. Anytime you're going to have to put hands on a suspect and get in a physical altercation, 9 out of 10 times someone's going to get injured, whether it's the suspect or the police officer. There's an unbelievable amount of stats now that just shows the reduction in people being injured, which brings down the costs of, medical costs, insurance for police officers,
And loss of life, I assume.
and lawsuits. And obviously, the number one is
Yeah.
preventing someone from either taking their life.
So they do any kind of simulation, so you know what it feels like to be tased?
Yes, it's not required now.
I just
We-
think that
we
would
did-
be, yeah.
We did have to do it before. It's not required, but I'm sure we'll have many officers step up and
Let these
take the
young
hit.
guys do it. How about we let Alex and we let who's this other guy?
And we'll
Let
certainly
Peter
put
and
it-
Alex
we'll
do
put
it,
it
and
on,
they can
social
figure it
media.
out.
I'm
too,
just
as well.
thinking in terms of empathy.
Yeah.
To know what this is going to feel like before you go to that step. Although again, if there's a gun and there's a crazy person, not crazy,
Yeah.
if they're not in the right mind, they're going to do something violent. You have to do something quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with the pepper spray. Officers
Yeah.
are trained in the academy to be sprayed because a lot of officers can get incapacitated just by being in an altercation and just getting a little bit on you.
Really?
And
So
then you have to learn how to keep fighting
even though you're
while
pepper sprayed.
they can't see.
Is pepper spray legal in Massachusetts? Can people carry mace? I mean, that's what it is.
I think you
right?
have to register it as a weapon.
Yeah, they get an FID card in order to carry it.
So is it capsaicin or is it the red pepper? What is it? It's a hot
That's
pepper.
called capstun,
Caps-
which is a real
Yeah.
condensed pepper kind
I
of
will
pepper.
say I carried mace illegally for 25 years in New York.
I had
what it
what's
was.
called a
I-
screamer thing that you would put, it would make a really loud noise, because we had a person that was committing crimes against females.
Oh my gosh.
Actually in my building. So we were in that neighborhood in Alston, had those things, and now when I think
Trying
about
to
it
prepare
now,
for it.
I don't even know what good it would have done if the thing made a big noise.
So that brings me to my next thing, just thinking about what it is. Well, let's finish up the taser thing.
Yeah.
When are those going to be on our police
Well,
officers after the training?
Officer Cruz Vigera is the only one carrying it right now because he came from
So we have one on the street.
We have one on the
We
street.
have a taser on the street.
Thank
in
you, Officer
Hopkinton.
Vergara.
Just everybody knows there is
Yeah.
a taser on board right now.
He actually was trained from his previous employment. He was a police officer at Church Falls, Virginia. He was an instructor down there, so that's why
great.
he was.
That's perfect.
Even though he only has a couple of years on Hopkinton, he brings a boatload of experience
Wonderful.
Sure.
when it comes to taser. So I allowed him to carry the taser because he was
Makes
certified in Massachusetts. So we're going to begin the process of training everyone up, and we should have everybody by the end of the summer.
That's amazing to
So
think
what-
about that. Starting with this new school year and
I know.
tasers.
So what are, if you can give situations or examples, what are situations in Hopkinton where you would have to use a taser? I mean, just an example, not specifics.
A suicidal subject,
Oh.
sometimes you might encounter someone with either a gun or a knife. Gun might turn into deadly for us, but if there's an opportunity to sneak up on someone or to
Stop them.
tase them, a knife to their throat, knife to their wrist, of course, communication would always be first.
Right.
And then you see how the situation escalates, and then you would make a decision to use that device.
Okay.
So certainly there are some people who want death by cop,
Right.
Yeah.
And so this would be
Change
another
that.
way to change that dynamic a bit for
Right.
sure.
Even an officer, responding to a domestic. Domestics can be extremely violent, and there's different variables with domestics that you don't get at other calls.
Sure.
Where once you move in on one of the other spouse might move in on you. They can become very violent.
And there could be children
situations,
present.
children involved.
So this
Things
is
of
a
that
way
nature.
of, yeah.
So you had to go through the process with this. The state requires each municipality or town to go through whatever governing boards they have. So you had to go through the selectmen to get the approval or just the wherewithal to get it to where it is right now. And they were unanimous, correct?
That is correct.
In their vote. And I know Brendan Tedstone was very vocal and Brian Harris saying, yeah, it's about time, like let's get it done. So it must be nice
We
to have the
certainly
support.
appreciate their support. They actually made it one of my goals, and it was one that I was very happy to complete this year.
What other goals so the selectmen, actually the police and fire answer to the selectmen, correct, in some hierarchy? And
Yes.
so, in I was,
The fire chief
right,
and myself both report to the chairman of the board. He is the liaison for both police and fire.
But you set the goals, right? And you present the
We'll
goals.
set goals, but they
selectmen.
might see something where they can add to or
Really?
suggest, and certainly
Okay.
open to suggestions, even with the community. I look at what input from the community as well, and look what can help us out. So I'm working on them right now. If you got any suggestions,
Yeah, please call us.
well, I'm just saying, has there been anybody in the community that's been very vocal about not using tasers?
no, I haven't gotten any negativity from anyone at this point.
Can I just say, our phone number is 508-435-7880. If you want to email us live at hcam.tv, we would love your opinion on tasers. Or if you have questions for the amazing Chief Ed Lee, who we are so grateful is here from Woonsocket, we'd love to have you join the conversation. My question that just came into mind is, I live on the Ashland end of town, and we had a person come in a police being chased into town from Framingham, who had committed something in Framingham, came in, crashed a car, took off on foot, got into Legacy Farms basement of an unused unit,
Yes.
and armed. So
That was recently, wasn't it? That was
recently.
just a couple months ago?
Yes. So I would think that walk us through what happens, if you can, as much as you can,
Well,
when a
that-
call comes in like that.
That suspect was involved in a drive-by shooting the previous evening. We got the information that Framingham was chasing, then Ashland picked up the pursuit, and they crashed over at Clinton
I know exactly where it was.
and East Main,
Yep.
and then the suspect fled, was able to get away from the Ashland officers. What you do then is we'll have 3 or 4 officers on the road. That was a pretty good location for someone to run into, because
Yeah.
we can set up a nice perimeter
Sure.
there. We call for mutual aid, call for state police, only because this was a situation where you're dealing with someone who's probably armed.
Yes, and dangerous.
We set up a perimeter, and masked air wing was able to come up and
Right,
just make
I
sure
saw them circling my house.
make sure that they didn't break through the perimeter,
Mm-hmm.
and then we used the dogs, and the dogs
And
were
the
able to pinpoint.
Can we just name the
In the
dogs?
last
Because that,
location.
I'm so grateful for those dogs.
They're not our dogs, though.
They're Ashlands.
I want a
But
dog.
I'm so grateful for them
I am
because
going
they,
on record. I
they
want
found,
a dog.
the dogs found the guy hiding.
Yes. Well,
When-
they found the location, and then we surrounded the house, and then the dogs go in first. and
You
he
know
was
what?
hiding in the
I
woods.
think one of your goals, and as a taxpayer in the town of Hopkinton, I think one of your goals should be to get a police dog. That I think you should put that on your to-do list.
And please call us.
And I think that we.
508-435-7880
how much
and let
does
us
a
know what
police
you think.
Dog cost. And
Police
then
dog, not police dog?
They have to go home.
Well, there are grants through the state. There's one out there for like $30,000 now, but it's more of not just the initial price; it's the training, and then it's the upkeep for
Right.
the officer
Oh,
who's
yeah.
trained to keep care of the dog.
And where
the
does it live?
veterinarian
It
bills
lives with
and
an
things of that
officer?
nature. Yes, usually that's the case.
I think actually we have a caller or an email coming in right now.
No, I don't see it on my little screen here, believe it or not.
Okay.
But I
Maybe
only
some
have an
tech
old
support-
one. Yeah, I'm
tech
just
support
going to
on
hand
that?
off my tech
Yeah.
support off here for
So,
1 second.
so dogs are normally, would that be a German Shepherd or would that be a? what kind of
Usually
dogs?
a German Shepherd specific
Okay.
for all-around police. You'll see other variations of dogs that do specific things. See the smaller ones for drug sniffing, things
So
of
what
that
kind of
nature.
small, what dog would that be? A beagle? What kind of dog is a dog?
Listen, I have a great
drug
beagle.
sniffing?
I'm willing to. I want to donate. Hold on, I just solved the problem. I'm going to donate my beagle to the town, and I will bring him by tomorrow with some bones and some food. He's fat. I'll even pay for his vet bills for a year because I'm all set. I'm surprised you haven't gotten calls from my neighbors or the animal control officer.
So what kind of small dogs are good at drug sniffing? Is
Usually
it?
beagles.
It is. That's what I
Yeah,
thought.
and
take
labs
one.
are great for
Labs.
that type of work.
I'm happy to
Bond
help write a
sniffing.
grant if you're ever interested. I'm happy to
right.
help write a grant.
Well,
If
we'll
that's
take you up on
something
that.
serious that you want to do and you think it will add to and enhance our community safety, I'm happy to help grant write for you guys getting a dog.
Well, we got National Night Out.
Yes.
It's going to be at the
August
Common
1st.
this year, August
Yep.
1st, and
Oh, August 1st, okay.
the
yep.
the canine officer
Yes.
in Holliston is now the chief of police, so I don't know if
Nice.
we can lure him away from his chief duties to do one more demonstration.
Yep, and I was there
And
last
then,
year.
then we can be prepared next year with a new
All
dog.
right.
hopefully.
Yeah.
So here's our
Police
email.
Night Out is August 1st. They're going to demonstrate dogs
Not tasers.
in action.
Yeah.
Probably not tasers.
No.
And it's just a great night for community connection
Yeah.
to the police. Thank you for mentioning
Hamburgers, hot dogs.
that. Yeah,
we get,
August
I'm
1st.
totally there.
Is it still behind the
I
middle
think
school?
the first 100 kids that show up get a fidget spinner.
Fidget
Oh,
spinner,
yeah,
gosh.
I love that.
Those are so
I love
popular
that.
right now. Let
So
me tell you.
we do have the email
Great.
from Michael. Says, if you carry guns, why do you need tasers, right?
Oh,
Well, taser is just one of the many weapons we need. The use of force continuum, starts just by verbal commands.
Mm-hmm.
You might be able to stop a situation, might escalate where you have to actually put hands someone on and just cuff them up
Restraint,
or take them to the ground. As things progress, you might need the tasers. But of course, if I'm in a situation responding to a bank robbery
Right.
or an active shooter at the school, I'm not going to be
God forbid.
reaching for my taser first. You're
Right.
going to
Right.
be using.
And
You're going to
gonna
match
stop
that
and have a
force, and if
conversation,
you're
yeah.
presented with deadly force, you're going to match that with deadly force.
What kind of guns do you guys carry?
Glocks,
Glocks.
40 calibers.
Okay. Big bullets, big guns. Okay. I wanted to just bring up, what were you going to say? Are they not big guns? They are big guns, right? They're pretty.
I know.
We,
that-
we,
I know
we,
that-
we also are one of the only departments that carry both a shotgun and a cruiser too, as a secure
Really?
We're the
and a
best.
patrol rifle,
Hopkinton is
just
the
to,
best.
just to be prepared. And we also give our officers they wear their regular vests,
Mm-hmm.
but we have the heavy duty flak vests.
I've seen that.
If you saw what happened down in Texas last year when those officers were
Awful
killed
ambushed.
by
Yes,
a
crazy.
high-powered rifle, these would be able to sustain a blow from a
Well, we really,
long gun.
really appreciate you guys putting yourselves out there all the time to serve and protect. That's what
Absolutely.
I always say.
I just want to bring up, I was on the internet today looking at the Boston Globe, and I showed this to Chief Lee before we went on air, but the Boston Globe did a basically just a chart of ranking in all the towns in Massachusetts about traffic violations issued by police department. So I will go on record. I've probably been pulled over in Hopkinton 5 times, maybe 7 or 8, but a lot, enough.
They
And
just
I'm
like
one
to talk to
person.
you because you're so nice to talk to.
No,
that's
I
all.
don't think that's it. I think
Oh,
I have a heavy
okay.
foot and don't pay attention all the time. So, however, so this is just traffic violations. So this is not warnings, right?
No.
We're not warnings at all. So we could just be being nice to people like me and just giving them warnings. Maybe only 5 times in Hopkins. I'll have to think about that. So in 2010 to 2015, we went down 40% in issuing violations.
Yeah.
So, and what would you say the reason for that is?
We had a lot of retirements and things of that nature, and I think you'll see from 2016 and 2017. I don't think you have those.
No, we
numbers.
won't have those.
We have a lot of
Yeah.
new police officers on the job, and there are a lot more citations being written. But
They're very
it's
vigilant.
not-
Their presence is all over the
my biggest thing is, if they see violations, they stop cars. As chief, I can't say, go out
Yes
there
or
and
no,
write so
right.
many
Right.
tickets. and
Yeah, it's no
It's
quota.
illegal. There's no
Right.
quotas.
Good.
It'd be unethical for me to be doing something, but I will push the fact that we care about the traffic safety in this community.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And enforcement's only one part of it. You have the education part of it.
Yes.
And if you can pull someone over and get compliance from them just by giving them a friendly verbal warning or
Mm-hmm.
a written warning, then you've done your job as well. Of course, we've done some recent activity. We wrote, I think, 80 tickets in a week last month.
Is that a lot for us?
Yeah, sounds like a
Well,
lot.
yeah, it was only a 16-hour period. It was just,
That's terrible. What day was it?
but
was
it
it a full moon?
It was for the texting while driving.
Oh, good.
And we've been working with the
Yes.
Girl Scouts on
Someone
that.
told me
with
about that,
signage,
yeah.
but it's
That's
it's like
great.
an epidemic. I mean, you could write 200 tickets a day.
Yeah.
Because when people are stopped at lights, what we'll have like an undercover officer pretend like he's working on his car, an undercover car, and then he'll just drive by and just. I mean, you can't keep up with it.
So somebody.
Everybody who pulls over takes out that phone, and
Because it seems like if the car stopped, it's okay.
So
Yeah.
somebody
But-
on the way here tonight rolled into me, not here, but in I guess it was on the Marlboro-Southboro line. Ooh. And we were all stopped. There's a big backup, and all of a sudden I was talking to somebody on my Bluetooth, and I just went and I said, I cannot believe this. And I saw her do this, and I got out, and I said, I cannot stop for this, but I saw your phone.
Right.
I said, but I really can't talk to you now about this. Let me just look at my car. I didn't fill out a report.
Right.
There was no
Fine.
damage.
And your head's okay?
But I was fine. But I was really mad. She had a kid in the car too. No, she must have done this and her foot came off the brake and she just rolled into me.
Yeah.
It's not even the point. The point is that put your freaking phone down, and you have a child in the car. So that was, but it is an epidemic. It is pandemic.
Thank you for being aware and taking care of all that.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Sorry. Drinking and driving, those type of things, where putting people at danger, speeding, we'll do our best to curb that. And the engineering part of it, we've made great strides with the DPW and the town and the selectmen, and the town voted on it to get the Hayden Row traffic plan up and running.
Calming.
Looking forward to that, and more of those speed signs.
Yes,
those work. They slow people down.
I have to tell you, I am very cognizant of my speed now, and because of a lot of that, especially around Elmwood School.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
And when I see people flying through that from the other side, coming from 495 or coming from that direction, it almost infuriates me. And I
absolutely.
say, this is like 8:30 in the morning, and you're flying by at 45 miles an hour. How is that even possible? How can you do that?
And what I would love to see, because I actually, part of my job is to stand in there, Elmwood School, at the corner and watch the buses come in and the cars come in. I would love 10-mile-an-hour sign in the drive, on the corner of the school, and then on the way in, because parents who are running late are going a little fast. I have to say, certain bus drivers are going a little faster than they should. So, I don't know how we get that done, but certainly not just on the street, but coming in that driveway.
Right.
Teachers might be crossing, parents are trying to get the kids in there, buses are trying to be on time.
And it's a cut through for a lot of trucks too to go to Westboro. So that's we have about 5 more minutes, and I do want to talk about Narcan. Because Narcan, when I was on the Board of Health, came before the Board of Health, just in terms of it's coming, police officers are going to be carrying it. Now you carry it.
Yes.
So how many times, it's the end of June, how many times have your staff, and so not fire, EMS, or EMS falls under fire, correct, in this town? So just police officers. How many times this year, if you could guesstimate, have your police officers administered Narcan?
Probably about 6 or 7 times, and I apologize for not having.
No, that's okay. But it's
not
not 600. It's not 600.
But still quite a bit.
And is there?
And we've also had ODs where Narcan wasn't applied, where people were already deceased. So
in Hopkinton.
In Hopkinton.
Do you feel? I know Denise Hildreth is working really hard and got a grant to address the opioid crisis. Do you feel that Hopkinton has a significant opioid problem here?
I think it's everywhere.
Everywhere epidemic, yeah.
But I think working with Denise and the Youth Commission, and I think we've made great strides. We were one of the first to get Narcan around this area, and the offices have been doing an outstanding job in recognizing signs and symptoms, and the biggest thing, if you do have an OD situation, try to get that person help after.
Right.
We work well with Denise on that.
Yeah, thank you.
And,
So
but the problem is, a lot of times, someone from our community will, and you'll see this a lot. You'll see Framing has a lot of ODs, but they might be Hopkinton residents.
Because they go there.
But we don't find out
drug.
from other communities, so we should focus more on that. Unless it came into
sharing.
unless it came in as a drug investigation type of thing. But a lot of times, there's so many of them, especially in the bigger communities, that they don't have the time to be notifying the local police.
How many arrests would you say have happened for? So marijuana, now here we are, right? So you can have a certain amount. What is the amount that you can have?
Under an ounce?
Under an ounce.
So how many arrests do you see that happening a lot in this community in terms of people having more than an ounce? And
no, you don't see it that often. The problem is it's tough to enforce those type of situations. It's been made very clear by the Attorney General's office that the actual smell of marijuana is no longer a probable cause to investigate, search a car, things of that nature.
But if you had a dog, she's got the dog. Wouldn't that help?
She's got the dog.
Oh no, then you would have to have cause for it. I'm no attorney, but.
But then again, I mean, the dog can't tell you if there's a under an ounce or 2 pounds in the back of the car, you know.
Wow.
So
can I ask this a very light question?
Sure.
You have 4 stars on your shoulder.
Yes.
Is this meaning captain? Is that the 4 stars? Or are you like a 4-star general? What do we have?
It's just the
uniform.
What they do in Massachusetts, most chief of police wear 4 stars.
Okay. And what are the different insignia meaning? 2 or 3 stars is
under this and a department our size, you would have we have a lieutenant. We don't have the rank of captain or a deputy chief. We have 2 lieutenants, which is 2 bars. A captain, 1 bar on each side. Captain had the 2 bars in my previous department, and then the sergeants have the stripes.
Just wondering. All right. Well, we should go to break.
Yep, we'll go to break.
A little more to talk about.
One more thing to talk about after we come back from break, and then we'll have you go on your way and continue to serve and protect. So we'll take you to a break, and we'll be right back.
Your time.
Thank you. Thanks.
I Am Day was a recognition of everyone's uniqueness. Hopkins school students and staff wrote character traits about themselves and paraded through the halls to celebrate.
Our Girl Scout Troop 68067 has been working on their Bronze Award on bullying and self-esteem.
And I Am Day was part of this project. Thank you for watching.
Hello, welcome to HCAM Insights. Did you know that Hopkinton's television station has a virtual plethora of virtual methods to keep you connected to everything Hopkinton? In addition to our TV channels and website, we have a monster Facebook presence, daily email updates, a Twitter account, an RSS feed, and a little button for Google+. And yes, I don't know what that one does either. But anyway, if it's Hopkinton's social media you're looking for HCAM.
And we're back, and Jen has one more question.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Remember, you can always call in and join the conversation with us, but there was one more thing we wanted to talk about with you. It just, again, today on the website for Hopkinton PD, on the side, it talked about our elevated terror threat is yellow. So who determines that? Is that something you determine? Is that a national terror state?
Well, it's both federal, state, and ever since 9/11, everything has kind of come together with information sharing, and we certainly have a lot of avenues to find things out like that because our working relationship with the marathon group, we start getting briefings as early as now. Things that through MEMA and the Fusion Center in Mass, and all our federal partners, ATF, FBI. Homeland Security, and we certainly get a lot of education and training. And the biggest threat that you'll see, and you've seen it on the news, and it was what we were concentrating for the marathon, is that lone wolf attack.
Right.
And that's it's a very real fear out there in this country, and we've seen quite a bit of it where you don't have those organized cells like you did in 9/11. You just get someone radicalized, and they get on websites, and then they'll go over to another country and further their training, and then and it doesn't take much to just a simple someone taking out a knife in a crowded place.
So do you feel that we are at a yellow level? I mean, is that your opinion of where that's a correct assessment?
I certainly have the faith in the federal government. And their due diligence with the intelligence community, and making sure that we're safe. But it's a different day and age, and that's another thing, a police officer has to be prepared for and look for anything out of the ordinary and suspicious. We have specially trained police officers in Marathon. You don't see them, but there's could be between 50 and 100 undercover officers that have been trained just to observe people and look for any type of certain cues that people give off to be able to move in. And
That's wonderful.
They call behavioral detection officers.
Wow. Another thing that these young folks, these young police officers can do for us.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
The one more comment I have, just as a woman, I would love to see more women on your police force.
Yeah, it's strange because I thought I was gonna right off the bat. I had two women that I had and gave them conditional letters of offer, and one that ended up saying, this is just not for me, and the other one got a better job. Well,
so
she
you're
thought
trying.
as a dispatch, but we certainly are pushing that as well.
I
Thank you.
would love to see that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody that
And Linda Higgins is
represents
fabulous.
she's the best.
And the Officer Goodman, I don't know her first
Jane.
name. Jane, yeah.
Yes.
She's wonderful.
Yeah, and all our dispatches, and Megan Narad, she is the dispatch supervisor. She's doing a great job, and especially since we consolidated with the fire department, so now the police handle both police and fire dispatch. And we
That
have
must be streamlining. It's so much easier.
two at a time, 24/7. So
That's
certainly
amazing.
helpful. Just got a brand new 911 system in the other day. Through the state.
Has that been implemented yet, or is that just?
Yes.
So that is in full force now. That's amazing.
And when a call pops up, a big map instantaneously shows where the incident is.
If it's a home phone.
It's a home phone, and we're able to do it with cell phones.
You
as
can,
well.
thank God, because I just had camp training the other day, and they said if you're calling, if there's an incident at camp, you have to call and you have to say your location and your callback number, because they didn't think the cell would be read by that.
So it depends on different communities that have the
Wonderful.
updated information.
It's fabulous.
So, and they're talking about now people that would be able to FaceTime 911 or
That's
text.
amazing.
Fabulous.
That's
Well,
amazing.
I think we're actually out of
we are out
time.
of time. Chief Lee,
Sorry.
thank you so
I
much.
appreciate
No, it was
your
my
time.
pleasure.
And we'd love to have you back and give us updates on more stuff, and
Okay.
look forward to seeing you in the future. And
Right.
I will drive the speed limit, my friend, and do
And
what I can.
next time we'll be talking about the healthcare bill. We'll be talking a little bit about the new travel ban and see what happens with that. And we'll be talking about the 4th of July. Let's see what happens after everyone's celebration. Have a great week.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.